discretion is advised.
What's a form of mental abuse that no one really talks about? Constantly undermining someone, or second guessing someone. My brother does this on a regular basis about big, small or totally irrelevant stuff. At first I didn't think much of it, but after a long time it started to make me not be able to make decisions properly, because I was always told my decisions were wrong. It took a lot of time to come to the conclusion that, even if my decisions are wrong, they're my decisions and I'm learning from my own mistakes. Neglect. People always talk about abuse, but neglect, as humorous as it may sound, gets neglected. When I was a teenager I would regularly go missing for days. I'd purposely dip out and go to friends' houses with a packed bag and tell their parents my mom said it was okay for me to stay for a week. My friends' parents must have understood no one cared about me at home and would oblige me and let me stay. I'd return home after a few days and see if anyone knew I was gone. After asking if they knew I wasn't home I'd always get a no. You were out. Oh well, that's nice. Once I left for 10 days. I snuck back in that time thinking they have to know I wasn't home and I would be in trouble. I came in through the back door and could clearly hear my mom and stepdad watching TV and enjoying themselves. I break it to them that I wasn't home for 10 days after questioning them in regards of whether they noticed I was gone. They tell me we thought you were in your room. I was 16 at the time. Getting rid of your stuff without asking. Filming you without asking. Going through your phone and belongings without asking. Nothing ducks up your trust more than your privacy constantly being invaded. Thousands of pictures. Gone. All my social media. Gone. Almost all my contacts. Gone. My jacket I got for Christmas. Gone. All without my knowledge or permission. Living with a narcissist and never knowing what will set them off. Did you say something in the wrong tone? Did you have a good day and want to talk about it? It's like walking on thin ice all of the time and it's stressful because you never know what will set them off. That was my childhood thanks to my father. My sisters and I were video chatting last year and started talking about the tension level in our house increasing right before he'd get home from work. I realized I still feel that before my husband gets home, like if I've had a lazy day on my day off. Start running around like I've been doing stuff. Hubby couldn't give a shit what I've been doing. Just happy I've enjoyed my day off. And that it was because of growing up as we did. I had to step away from camera and cry for a minute. It's weird at 48 years old to have a mini breakdown from something that you haven't lived with for 30 years, but it's so ingrained it only takes a second to step back into it. Thankfully the realization has helped me to let go of some of it from when hubby comes in. Telling a child to keep their passions to themselves. I was told to keep my interests to myself as a child, and people wouldn't want to be my friends because my interests were nerdy. It's one thing to be made fun of for your interest by your peers, but it's way worse when it comes from your parents. Now that I'm an adult, I have much better friendships because I no longer feel like I have to put on a vanilla mask for everyone. Any kind of fear-based parenting. I remember how you made me feel when I was small and vulnerable. I was afraid. No, you didn't hit me that hard, but that's by adult standards. To me you were a giant 3 times my size. If a child is afraid of you, they won't trust you. Ever. Not allowing children to make choices. I was raised by parents who dictated most decisions. Making good choices is a necessary skill. I think children raised this way do not develop a sense of autonomy. I have a terrible time making decisions. And I don't care about many things like color choices, food, recreation, and more important life choices like partners and occupations. It is harder to find pleasure in life when choices are based on what you dislike the least. Definitely guilt tripping. Both of my exes used to take everything I did wrong as a personal attack and used it to try to make me feel guilty. I want to see my best friend instead of them today. Oh, you must not love me. I didn't get the right order from Starbucks. You must not care enough to remember the right order. Even worse is when I'm mad at something they did and they use me being mad to guilt trip me. leading to me having to apologize for something they did. I see it all the time and nobody calls people out for doing this, but it really infuriates me. A partner or friend who gives detailed heartfelt apologies, but continues to do the same old harmful stuff. Like they have figured out how to humble themselves as a weapon, and have gotten really good at thorough apologies, but seem to make zero effort to change their behavior. Social exclusion. Obviously no one should be forced to talk to others and involve them in activities, but oftentimes it's done maliciously. I've seen it happen both in school and in the workplace. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. When you finally crack, as you should, since you are literally being tortured, they paint you as the crazy one. They also cut you in private until they know you are at your breaking point, then do something seemingly innocuous in public to cause you to explode. Some people are really good at it. My mother was very good at it, much to my mother-in-law's chagrin. My mother-in-law is an idiot compared to my mother, so her attempts just look stupid and amateurish to me. Shame. It's seen as a legitimate parenting tool by so many people. Pee your pants. You should be ashamed. Have an uncomfortable but normal emotional response. Stop that. What will people think? Someone you trusted hurt you. You should have known better. It can make connection and communication feel dangerous. You should know better than to let down your guard. It can also lead you to betray and berate yourself and turn you into a target because you already know that you're the problem and some people are masterful about exploiting it. I don't know how is it called, but I never had nice explanation when I didn't understand something. I would get yelled at, called names, or sometimes got just silent treatment. I still get nauseous at work when I have to ask for help when I don't understand something or I'm not sure how to do it. My parents were like this, and once I realized that most others respond just fine to you saying I don't know, it really took a lot of weight off of my shoulders. My parents didn't like anything to be questioned, but also didn't like when you didn't have all the answers, so I was always in that weird spot of not being able to win. I promise most other people are totally fine if you don't know something or if you ask for an explanation. Hell, many people enjoy getting to share their knowledge. I'm going to say financial. Financial abuse exists in so many forms, but it doesn't seem to be discussed at all. I've worked in safeguarding, and even in teaching sessions it's very rarely mentioned, but the impact is absolutely devastating and can affect the rest of your life. Parents telling their children not to lie to them, and then punishing them for saying the truth. The kids literally will be punished either way, and they will probably end up torturing themselves because they won't know what to do. They might also end up lying about things that could be dangerous. My parents would always blame me or my siblings whenever we got sick. If we got sick, it was because we did something wrong. They're overall great parents, but they had this awful habit of blaming us for getting sick. As a result, if any of us got sick, we wouldn't tell our parents until it got too bad for us to handle. Nowadays, as adults, we've talked to them about that terrible habits of theirs, but they accuses us from blaming them for our own problems. That they did nothing wrong, and they only wanted to educate us on taking good care of our health. So we still hide our health from them to this day. I'm early 30s, and I'm the youngest. Adults bullying children, especially in situations where it's their parent's new partner spouse. It's really damaging when what is supposed to be a safe home isn't because of some adult who thinks it's okay to bully children. Exclusion. My BTCH of a second grade teacher didn't let me join activities in the classroom and made me sit behind the podium where I couldn't even see any of my peers. Then in middle school, along with the regular aspects of bullying, my peers refused to acknowledge my existence. It got so bad that I even questioned my own existence because so many people kept ignoring me. Well, that has now manifested into a desperate need to know anything and everything that's going on around me at all times. I need to know, or else it makes me really upset and anxious. Shaming someone for their emotions or invalidating them. pretentiously in a joking way, like laughing and asking are you backwards or what. I see this a lot between relationship partners and from parents to children. Screaming at a child if they are ducking joking because there is no reason. For example, to be scared, or telling your partner they're embarrassing themselves in front of others, or how everybody can see how they are not this or that, is so degrading and damaging, yet it seems to be everywhere and considered to be normal. I need to be careful about how I word this, so try to take what I'm meaning from my words, but letting your mental health drain your partner's soul. Yes, your partner can offer to help where they can, but one's own mental health is one's own responsibility. If you're not taking accountability for yourself, but instead leaving it all for your soul to pick up, you're going to have them running on empty real fast. Don't default to having others be your only relief from your personal situation. They can't fix it. They aren't in your brain. Constantly telling a child no and not giving an explanation. My mother would say no to me all of the time as a child. She'd shoot everything down to the point that I just stopped asking. I was never allowed to go out, so I stopped making friends. She wouldn't let me pursue any of my interests. She shut down my hobbies. She just stunted me, and I was too scared to resist because she was physically abusive too. I just gave up on myself at an early age. Now I'm a socially inept, anxious, depressed, codependent adult with no interests or hobbies. I honestly don't know anything about myself or my personality and just do whatever she wants. Toxic positivity. Yes, it is very bad to cloud someone's mind into thinking that everything should be seen positively, that problems should be seen as small and insignificant, how nothing is supposed to affect you, etc. Every feeling and emotion you feel is invalidated because you're supposed to be happy. The world is already up in flames and we need to do something about it, while you're over there in your corner, having your first world problem. Yeah, well, all I ducking, see you positive people answer serious issues with is nothing but a stupid ducking song and a ducking dance that does absolutely ducking nothing, while telling people to just be happy or just smile or just this and just that. Duck you. A lot of us are weighed down by our own problems and we can't right now, in good conscience and will, do much about the things that need our attention most. That's life for you. But what this toxic positivity really is doing is developing this ego where you come off as just an individual with a very unrealistic view on the world. You're too idealistic. It's annoying talking to these people because they downplay all of your problems, all of the world's problems and all of their problems. They offer no solutions. What's worse is having them as friends. I mean, damn. I've had a few of these people as friends and it's like walking eggshells for them. Can't vent. Can't even say anything that they might think it's toxic. They then get all militant and turn against you in seconds. Nobody wants to talk about how bad toxic positivity is because they don't want their greenhouse to fall apart. Lack of privacy. Not feeling safe in what is supposed to be your space sucks. Plus swinging between being overprotective of your stuff so no one sees it or takes it away and not wanting to have a lot of material attachments. My parents randomly went through my phone and didn't like what they saw at all. Now, I mainly text people through Snapchat because it automatically deletes. I can't text people normally without at least a shock of fear of our texts being read and judged. Is my phone that I pay for, and I'm anxious about simply texting people. The abuse that occurs in MLMs. There is often toxic positivity and preying on poorer people looking to earn money. These people will rarely, if ever, realize the dream that they are being sold and, more often than not, end up in a worse financial position than when they began. Also, the leaders perpetuate the false narrative that if you're not successful, it's because you haven't worked hard enough or given it enough time. A lot of people end up buying the stock themselves to keep rank, making those above them richer, whilst garnering no additional success. Moreover, the promise of a safe haven or girl boss gang is a complete fallacy and only there to sell you a dream that is completely unattainable. All of these MLMs should be banned. Emotional neglect. A lot of parents especially older generation, especially fathers, never engaged in an emotional way with their children. They're just around to pay for things and lay down the rules when the kids misbehave too much. Not giving your employees a break to meet customer demand. Serving customers' patience is hard. You get verbally and emotionally abused. Your gaze gets sore from fake smiling. Let us have our only break. The verbal and mental abuse my mom has caused me. The non-stop complaining on how I'm never good enough. Or how I can't speak to her without her being distracted. It's more of a like, oh, I live with you relationship and that's it. I just wish I had a good relationship with her, but all I have is arguments. There is never a good day. Being part black myself. Black people tend to use mentally physically abuse as a form of discipline and is openly talked about and accepted, especially in the South. I don't understand how we will preach Black Lives Matter, saying keep your hands off me, or verbally attack others saying and playing the victim role, and then do the same at home to our own kids, but it's different. I don't get it, that you can emotionally damage and physically assault your kids and then go on the phone and laugh about it to your other family members. And that's the honest truth that really needs to be brought up and addressed. Trauma dumping. It's one thing to have it come up in conversation or tell somebody you need to vent, but it's whole other to bust it out and make others feel uncomfortable and create an atmosphere where you're required to be catered to make your problems more important than others. Had someone who did this around everyone, and if you had an issue with her about anything, she'd go back to telling us her tragic life story and how she basically deserves pity and can't be criticized even when she hurts others. I'm autistic and my ex would scold me for having meltdowns around him because they upset him. For those who don't know, there isn't much you can do when a meltdown is happening, but due to how much I was told off for having them, I held them in until I was alone, which made them 10x worse. I couldn't do anything to upset him because his autism was worse. Last year I accidentally had a meltdown in front of my friend. I tried so hard to not let it happen, but eventually I just broke. And his response was just to hug me and make me a cup of tea once I had stopped crying my eyes out. It was strange, but so nice to be comforted. I felt really guilty once I completely calmed down, though despite his reassurance I had done nothing wrong. He's a great friend. With a lot more systems in place to stop it now, so it's not as common as it was. But some of the stuff that went on with regards to those dubbed as lol cows, people who can be milked for entertainment, was ducking crazy. I know that hate speech and bullying etc. still go on today, but in the early noughties it was the Wild West out there, and some of the extended harassment campaigns that went on were pretty horrifying looking back. Chris Chan is obviously the most talked about and documented in this regard, and it is even claimed that they might be the most documented person in history. Regardless of that, and regardless of what you think of their personality and recent and abhorrent actions, there's no way to look back on their interactions with trolls around 2010 or so as anything other than abominable. The manipulative type. Not just manipulative in every way. The way where your parent could guilt trip you, using their great ability to cry on command, guilt tripping you until you feel like you should take your life. My parent would cry about irrelevant things to make me end up in the hospital on suicide watch. It was a horrible feeling to know my parent was crying and made me feel like I was just hurting them even as a child. Not allowing someone to have free time. Growing up, my dad would make us stay busy anytime he was home with us. We were always doing chores or slaving away outside on whatever project he decided we would be working on. During the summer, he would take almost all of his vacation from work as soon as school let out, and we would be up at 7 in the morning doing hard labor around the house, and he wouldn't let us stop until dinner time. Every day, I still have a hard time allowing myself to relax and do nothing, and I'm 31 and haven't lived with him since I was 23. Gaslighting. Basically when someone acts like you're crazy for having an issue with something they did to you, or denying that they hurt you at all. It starts to make you question your own thoughts and doubt yourself, which then gives them room to do it again and get away with it this time. Financial stuff, both my parents worked making similar money, but my dad controlled it all. Mom would sneak to thrift stores with cash after work to buy us clothes, shoes, other essentials. If my dad found out, he would freak out about how we were about to be homeless. I was under the impression we were gonna be on the streets in a day, until I was 10 or so. Combined, my parents made close to $150K a year. We were never close to be homeless. In a lot of places there is this whole work culture expectation of always being reachable by email or text for whatever happens. A lot of them expect, and even demand, that you be pretty much on call, even when you're not at the office anymore. And if you don't follow this, you'll be shamed for being lazy, or reprimanded, or even fired. The way these places manipulate you to force work into your personal life is a form of abuse, in my opinion, because it can really take a toll on your mental health. Being made to pretend you believe in a religion you don't. Maybe it's your family, maybe it's your community, maybe it's your school. Whatever it is, no one should have to lie about who they are and what they believe every day just to feel accepted, or have to go through each day knowing that if they told the truth, they'd be shunned by people closest to them. Click subscribe if you enjoyed this video.